It was late at night. His phone lit up after hours of silence. Her name. One message. "Why didn't you call me?" His heart raced. He had been thinking about her all day, replaying conversations, wondering what went wrong. Now this. A simple question, but it felt like a trap. He rushed to respond, typing fast, explaining himself, trying to fix something he didn't even understand. Minutes passed. No reply. Then hours. By morning, she was distant again. Cold. Uninterested. That was the moment he failed the test, without even realizing there was one. Most men never see it happening. They think they are responding to a situation, but they are actually being measured by it. Not by what they say, but by how they react. And the truth is simple. The moment you lose control of your emotions, you lose the frame. You lose the power. This is where Stoicism separates the few from the many. She tests you in ways that are rarely obvious. Not to destroy you, but to reveal you. In moments of silence, in delays, in sudden changes of tone, she is observing how steady you are. Most men react. Stoicism teaches you to remain grounded. When you stop reacting emotionally to every shift, you begin to see clearly. And when you see clearly, you move differently. One of the most common tests is inconsistency. She may show interest, then pull away. Not because she is confused, but because she is watching how you handle uncertainty. Do you chase? Do you panic? Or do you remain composed and focused on your purpose? A Stoic man understands that his value does not fluctuate based on someone else's behavior. He stays centered. Another test comes through disagreement. She challenges your opinions, your decisions, sometimes even your confidence. Many men take this personally and become defensive. But Stoicism reminds you that not every challenge is an attack. Sometimes it is an invitation to stand firm without anger. Calm confidence speaks louder than emotional reactions ever will. There are also moments when she withdraws attention. No messages. No calls. Silence. This is where most men fail. They overthink, they assume the worst, they break their own frame. But a Stoic mind sees silence as neutral. It neither chases nor collapses. It continues building, growing, improving. Your life must remain full, regardless of who stays or leaves. She may test your boundaries too. Subtle disrespect, small provocations, pushing limits. If you tolerate everything, you lose respect. If you explode, you lose control. The Stoic path is balance. Calmly enforce your standards without aggression. Strength without chaos is rare, and it is powerful. Emotional control is the test behind every test. Not suppression, but mastery. Feeling without being ruled by those feelings. When you stop letting emotions dictate your actions, you become grounded, focused, unshaken. Purpose is your anchor. When a man has direction, tests lose their power. You are no longer trying to impress. You are living with intention. Stoicism teaches that your mission comes first. Everything else is secondary. This mindset changes how you respond, how you move, how you live. Most men fail because they seek validation. They want approval, attention, reassurance. But the Stoic man generates his own validation. He knows who he is. He knows what he stands for. And because of that, he does not bend under pressure. Patience is another quiet strength. Not rushing outcomes. Not forcing connections. Letting things unfold while you remain consistent. When you stop trying to control everything, you gain control over yourself. And that is where real power lies. Detachment is often misunderstood. It does not mean you do not care. It means you are not dependent. You can appreciate someone without needing them to define your worth. That freedom makes your presence stronger. Every test is an opportunity. Not to prove yourself to her, but to refine yourself. Each moment reveals where you are reactive, where you are insecure, where you need growth. Stoicism is not about perfection. It is about progress through awareness. Discipline shapes your responses. The more you train your mind, the less you are shaken by external situations. You respond with intention, not impulse. And over time, this becomes who you are. Silence can be your greatest tool. Not every situation requires a response. Not every message deserves your attention. Sometimes, the strongest move is to observe and say nothing. Let your actions speak. Respect is not demanded. It is earned through consistency. Through how you carry yourself in difficult moments. Through how you handle pressure without losing composure. That is what sets you apart. In the end, the real test is not hers. It is yours. Can you remain true to yourself under pressure? Can you control your mind when emotions rise? Can you stay focused when distractions appear? If you want to master this level of discipline, clarity, and quiet power, subscribe to the channel now and stay until the end of this journey. Most men think the goal is to pass her tests. That's the mistake. The real goal is to stop living as if you are being graded. The moment you shift your focus from proving yourself to improving yourself, everything changes. You become less reactive, less needy, and far more dangerous in your calm. There will be moments when she says something designed to provoke you. A comparison. A subtle jab. A statement that questions your value. In that moment, your reaction defines everything. If you rush to defend yourself, you give away your position. If you respond with controlled clarity, or even silence, you keep your power. Stoicism teaches that not every opinion deserves your energy. Sometimes, the test is disguised as praise. She may compliment you, elevate you, show strong interest. And just when you start to feel comfortable, she pulls back. This is where attachment traps most men. They become dependent on that validation. But a Stoic mind remains steady in both praise and withdrawal. You accept both without losing yourself. Unpredictability is part of the process. Plans change. Energy shifts. Interest fluctuates. But your foundation must remain the same. You wake up with purpose. You move with intention. You build your life regardless of who is watching. This consistency is what makes you stand out. Another silent test is time. How quickly do you get attached? How easily do you give your attention? How much of yourself do you invest too early? Most men rush in, trying to secure something before it's even built. But patience is power. Let things develop naturally. Let actions reveal truth over time. You will also face moments of emotional pressure. She may open up, share something heavy, or create a situation that demands your response. This is not a moment to shut down, but to stay grounded. Listen without losing yourself. Support without becoming consumed. Stoicism is not coldness. It is controlled warmth. Your standards will always be tested. What you tolerate becomes your reality. If you accept disrespect once, it will return. If you calmly correct it, you set a tone. Not through force, but through clarity. You don't need to argue. You simply decide what stays and what goes. There is also the test of absence. When she is not there, who are you? Do you fall apart, or do you become stronger? The time you spend alone reveals your true level of discipline. Build habits that strengthen your mind. Read. Train. Reflect. Grow. So when you return to any interaction, you come from strength, not lack. Control over desire is one of the hardest lessons. Wanting something too much blinds you. It makes you overlook red flags. It makes you accept less than you deserve. A Stoic man desires, but he is not controlled by desire. He chooses wisely, not emotionally. You must understand this clearly. Attraction is not built through chasing. It is built through presence, confidence, and emotional stability. When you are calm in chaos, focused in distraction, and grounded in uncertainty, you become rare. And rarity creates value. There will be losses. Moments where things don't work out. Times when she walks away. This is where most men break. They take it personally. They question themselves. But Stoicism teaches acceptance. Not everything is meant to stay. And not every ending is a failure. Some are redirections. Every experience sharpens you. Every challenge builds you. Every test reveals another level of growth waiting for you to reach. The more you embrace this mindset, the less anything can shake you. Imagine being the man who does not panic under pressure. The man who does not chase validation. The man who moves with quiet confidence and unshakable discipline. That is not something you are born with. It is something you build. And it starts with awareness. Pay attention to your reactions. Notice where you lose control. Notice where emotions take over. That is where your work begins. Because the more control you gain over yourself, the less control anyone else has over you. This is the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is instant, emotional, uncontrolled. Responding is calm, intentional, and powerful. Train yourself to respond. In the end, no test matters more than the one you give yourself every day. Will you stay disciplined when it's hard? Will you stay focused when it's tempting to drift? Will you stay true to your path when distractions appear? If you commit to that, everything else becomes easier. Stay with this journey. There is more to uncover, more to master, more to become. And if you're serious about building this level of mindset and strength, subscribe to the channel and keep watching. There is a deeper layer most men never reach. It is not about how you act when things are good. It is about who you become when things are uncertain. When you don't have clear answers. When her behavior doesn't match her words. When you are left in that space between clarity and confusion. That is where your mindset is truly tested. In those moments, the average man seeks control. He asks more questions, sends more messages, tries to force clarity. But the Stoic man understands something powerful. Not everything needs to be chased. Some things reveal themselves with time. And patience, in that moment, is not weakness. It is strength. You must learn to sit in uncertainty without losing yourself. Another test appears when emotions run high. Arguments, misunderstandings, tension. This is where impulsive reactions destroy everything. Words said in anger cannot be taken back. Energy lost in frustration cannot be recovered. But if you train yourself to pause, even for a moment, you create space between emotion and action. And in that space, you gain control. Control is not about dominating others. It is about mastering yourself. There will also be moments when she questions your direction, your goals, your decisions. Not always directly, but through doubt or comparison. This is where many men seek approval. They try to explain, justify, or convince. But a man with purpose does not need to convince anyone. He moves with quiet certainty. His results speak over time. Confidence is not loud. It is consistent. You may also face the test of temptation. Attention from others. Opportunities that pull you away from your focus. Distractions that feel rewarding in the moment but cost you in the long run. Discipline becomes your shield here. Because without discipline, even the strongest mindset will collapse. What you choose daily defines who you become. Sometimes, the hardest test is letting go. Letting go of what feels familiar. Letting go of what once felt right. Letting go when you realize something no longer aligns with your standards. This requires courage. Not the loud kind, but the quiet strength to walk away without anger, without bitterness, without needing closure. That is power. You must also understand the role of silence in growth. Not just silence in conversation, but silence in your life. Time away from noise. Time away from constant validation. Time where you sit with your thoughts and understand yourself. Most people avoid this. But this is where clarity is built. Clarity leads to better decisions. And better decisions shape a better life. As you continue on this path, you will notice a shift. You will react less. You will observe more. You will speak with intention. You will act with purpose. And slowly, the things that once controlled you will lose their grip. This is not something that happens overnight. It is built through repetition. Through awareness. Through discipline practiced daily. Small moments of control add up to a powerful mindset over time. Do not rush this process. Growth that lasts is never rushed. There will be days you slip. Moments where you react emotionally. Times where you lose your center. That does not mean you have failed. It means you have identified another area to strengthen. Learn from it. Adjust. Continue forward. Progress is not perfection. It is persistence. As you build this mindset, you will notice something interesting. The tests don't stop. But they stop affecting you the same way. What once triggered you becomes something you can handle with ease. What once confused you becomes clear. What once shook you no longer moves you. That is evolution. You become the man who is calm when others are chaotic. Focused when others are distracted. Grounded when others are unstable. And in a world full of reaction, that level of control is rare. And rare is powerful. Stay on this path. Keep refining your mind. Keep strengthening your discipline. Keep choosing growth over comfort. Because the man you are becoming is built in these moments. If you are ready to keep growing, to keep sharpening your mindset, and to build this level of unshakable discipline, subscribe to the channel and stay with this journey. There comes a point where you stop asking, "What is she doing?" and start asking, "Who am I becoming?" That shift changes everything. Because once your focus turns inward, the outside world loses its ability to control you. You stop chasing clarity from others and start creating it within yourself. At this level, you begin to understand energy. Not in a mystical sense, but in how you carry yourself. Your presence, your tone, your pace. When you are rushed, people feel it. When you are grounded, people feel that too. And the truth is, most tests are reactions to your energy. When you are unstable, the tests increase. When you are centered, they fade. This is why inner work is non-negotiable. There will be times when she gives mixed signals. Words that say one thing, actions that show another. Most men get trapped trying to decode it. But a Stoic man focuses on actions, not words. He observes patterns, not promises. And based on that, he makes decisions that protect his peace. Peace is power. Another level of growth is emotional independence. Not needing constant communication. Not relying on attention to feel secure. Not panicking when things go quiet. When you reach this point, your interactions become lighter, more natural, more genuine. You are no longer trying to hold on. You are simply experiencing. And that makes you magnetic. You will also face moments where walking away is the test. Not because you don't care, but because you respect yourself. When standards are crossed repeatedly, when effort is not matched, when peace is disturbed, the strongest move is distance. Not anger. Not revenge. Just distance. Distance reveals everything. It shows who values your presence, and who only values your attention. It shows what is real and what is temporary. And more importantly, it shows you your own strength. Because walking away requires discipline most people don't have. You must also learn to control your narrative. The stories you tell yourself shape your reactions. If you assume the worst, you react from fear. If you stay neutral, you respond with clarity. Not every delay is rejection. Not every silence is disinterest. Sometimes it simply is what it is. And that mindset keeps you steady. As you grow, your standards will rise. What you once accepted, you will no longer tolerate. What once impressed you, will no longer move you. This is a natural part of evolution. Do not resist it. Embrace it. Because higher standards lead to better outcomes. But remember this. Standards are not just for others. They are for you too. How you spend your time. How you manage your emotions. How you show up daily. Hold yourself accountable before expecting anything from anyone else. Self-respect is built, not claimed. There will also be moments of reflection. Looking back at your past reactions, your past mistakes, your past mindset. Do not judge yourself harshly. That version of you was necessary to become who you are now. Growth requires experience. And experience often comes through failure. Use it. Don't regret it. Consistency is what ties everything together. Not intensity. Not motivation. But consistency. Showing up daily. Practicing control in small moments. Choosing discipline when it's easier to react. Over time, this builds a mindset that is unshakable. And once you reach that level, everything changes. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself. You no longer fear losing people. You no longer chase validation. You move with quiet confidence, knowing that what is meant for you will align with your standards and your path. This is freedom. And it is available to anyone willing to do the work. So as you continue watching, ask yourself one question. Are you reacting to life, or are you mastering it? Because the answer to that question will define everything that follows. If you're ready to keep evolving, to strengthen your mindset, and to become a man who is truly in control of himself, subscribe to the channel and stay with this journey. At a certain point, you realize something most people never do. The game was never about her. It was never about passing tests, decoding behavior, or trying to win approval. It was always about discipline, clarity, and self-mastery. And once you understand that, everything becomes simpler. You stop overanalyzing every message. You stop attaching meaning to every delay. You stop reacting to every shift in energy. Instead, you observe. You remain steady. You choose your responses carefully. That level of control separates you from the crowd. This is where true confidence is built. Not from attention. Not from validation. But from repetition. From showing yourself, again and again, that you can stay composed under pressure. That you can walk away when needed. That you can hold your standards even when it's uncomfortable. Because comfort weakens discipline. There will always be moments designed to pull you off your center. A late reply that triggers doubt. A comment that challenges your ego. A situation that makes you feel uncertain. These moments are not accidents. They are opportunities to reinforce who you are becoming. And every time you choose control over reaction, you level up. Another truth you must accept is this. You cannot control how someone feels about you. You cannot force interest. You cannot create connection through effort alone. Trying to do so will only drain you. But what you can control is how you show up. Your mindset. Your actions. Your standards. Focus on that. Because when you do, something powerful happens. You become selective. Not everyone gets your time. Not everyone gets your attention. Not everyone gets access to your energy. And that selectiveness increases your value without you having to say a word. Scarcity creates respect. You also begin to move differently in conversations. You listen more. You speak with intention. You don't rush to fill silence. You allow space. And in that space, you gain insight. You understand people better because you are no longer distracted by your own need to impress. Awareness becomes your advantage. There will be times when you feel the urge to go back to old habits. To chase. To overexplain. To seek reassurance. This is normal. Growth is not a straight line. But in those moments, remind yourself of the standard you are building. Remind yourself of the discipline you are developing. And choose better. Because every decision either strengthens you or weakens you. You are not aiming to be perfect. You are aiming to be consistent. To respond better today than you did yesterday. To stay grounded a little longer than before. To think clearly in moments where you once reacted emotionally. That is progress. As your mindset evolves, you will notice something else. You become less impressed by words and more focused on actions. You stop believing promises and start observing patterns. And this protects you from wasting time on situations that do not align with your standards. Time is your most valuable asset. Do not spend it trying to convince someone to see your worth. Spend it building a life that reflects your worth. A life filled with purpose, discipline, and clarity. Because when your life is in order, everything else becomes an addition, not a necessity. That is the mindset shift. And once you reach it, the fear of losing anyone disappears. Because you know you are not losing. You are simply making space for what aligns with your growth. This is strength. Quiet. Controlled. Unshakable strength. So as this journey continues, remember this. You are not here to react to every test. You are here to rise above them. To become a man who is defined by discipline, not emotion. By clarity, not confusion. By purpose, not distraction. And that transformation starts with a decision. A decision to take control of your mind. To raise your standards. To commit to growth, no matter how uncomfortable it gets. If you are ready to take that step, to keep building this level of mindset and discipline, subscribe to the channel and stay with this journey. And now you reach the final layer most men never understand. It is not about what she does anymore. It is about what nothing can do to you. Because at this stage, even the tests lose meaning. You no longer see behavior as a challenge to your identity. You see it as information. Neutral. Clean. Unemotional. You stop reacting because there is nothing left to prove. A man who has done the work is not easily pulled into emotional chaos. If she is present, he is calm. If she is distant, he is calm. If she is uncertain, he is still calm. Not because he doesn't care, but because his foundation is no longer external. It is internal. And that is the shift. Most men live in emotional dependency without realizing it. They feel good when attention is high, and anxious when it drops. But Stoic discipline breaks that cycle completely. It teaches you to anchor your state in your values, not in someone else's behavior. That is freedom. At this level, you begin to understand something deeper about attraction itself. It is not built through pursuit. It is built through presence. The more you chase, the more you signal lack. The more you stand firm in your life, the more naturally respect is formed. Not forced. Earned. And here is what changes everything. You stop trying to be chosen. You start choosing. Choosing how you spend your time. Choosing who gets your attention. Choosing what aligns with your direction. And anything that doesn't fit loses access. That is where real power lies. There is also a quiet strength that develops over time. You become less reactive to praise and less affected by criticism. Because both are temporary. Both are external. And neither defines you. What defines you is consistency. How you show up when no one is watching. How you respond when emotions rise. How you handle uncertainty without losing yourself. That is who you really are. And once you see that clearly, you stop playing emotional games entirely. You don't need to decode mixed signals. You don't need to chase clarity. You don't need to fight for attention. You simply observe, decide, and move accordingly. Calmly. Without noise. Without desperation. And that calm becomes intimidating to people who rely on emotional control to influence others. Because you can no longer be easily shaken, confused, or pulled off your path. You are steady. And steadiness is rare. So if you take anything from this, let it be this truth. The highest level of strength is not in how you respond to others, but in how little others can control your state. That is Stoicism in practice. That is self-mastery. And that is what most men fail to reach. If you've watched this far, you already understand the mindset shift. Now it's about applying it daily. In your reactions. In your habits. In your discipline. In your silence. And if you want to keep building this level of control, clarity, and inner strength, subscribe to the channel and stay connected for more of this.